For those who asked for the second part, here is the continuation of Bluey's animation errors. In the pirate ship episode, we have several quite funny errors with our best friend, the shapeshifter. Bandit, when Bandit is rocking the hammock to simulate that Bluey and Bingo are on a pirate ship. If you pause at a precise moment, you will realize that for a few seconds, his two ears transform into a uni-ear. Wow, Bandit, it's like you're wearing a birthday hat. We can even see that Bandit's hair color changes. Well, it seems to split, and now we see one part lighter than the other. But even after that, things get even crazier. Not only did Bandit's ear become one, but his eye also turned into a cyclops. Thus, leaving us with an image that is disturbing and funny at the same time, where even Bandit's mouth disappears from the effort. You see, boys, when you play pirate ship, don't use too much force, because you might end up with only one eye or with a birthday hat. The characters in the story seem to change color frequently. And in the zoo episode, when Chili realizes that Bingo is inside the baboon cage, probably from the scare, Chili's cream color disappears. In the Bumpy and the Wise Hound episode, Muffin's eye almost pops out. Well, when everyone bows and Muffin's hat falls off, he gets a good eye for it. Oh, big-eyed. And not only the characters have strange mistakes. In dance mode, we saw how the card that the person formed behind Bandit carries in his hand. It also goes into dance mode. In the Wagon Ride episode, when Bingo grabs a flower, it also goes into dance mode. In the Dad Delivery episode, just at the moment when Chili leaves and Bluey says goodbye to her, Bingo's mouth also moves in the same way. But in reality, she doesn't say anything, or does she, Dad? Yes, 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 goodbye, Mommy. The last two scenes allowed us to observe the weekend activities. B for Bingo on her bed? But if we pay attention, we will realize that the B is in uppercase, when before it was lowercase. What kind of witchcraft is this? And in case you didn't know, Bluey has an uppercase B on her bed because she is the older sister, and Bingo, being the younger one, has a lowercase b on her bed. But this time, the witch reversed them. In the Burger Shop episode, when Bandit is inside the bathtub, we can see that for a few seconds they used his design from the pilot episode. What do you guys think? Is he handsome or is he ugly? One of the mistakes that I found very disturbing is in the episode of the Blue Mountains. Well, just when Bluey slides down Bandit's leg for a few seconds, we can see that his arm came off from how fast he was going down. Ouch. In the barbecue episode, you might remember that Socks got his face blown off. Well, guess what? In this very scene, if you pay attention, we can see that Bluey got his arm blown off. Really, here it just looks like she's carrying a tail or a flower in front of her. Just compare her arm with Muffin's. In the Butterflies episode, when Judo is looking for Bluey, we can see that the laundry basket Bandit has is magical. This is because one of his green shirts goes through the basket from one moment to the next. And in the hotel episode, just when Bluey is on the stairs, along with the basket, we can see that on the wall is the haunted picture. First it's of a beach, but when Bandit goes up the stairs, this picture changes completely. And now it's a portrait that seems to be of Bluey. But in the pilot episode, we were able to find a few more mistakes. The first one has to do with Bandit's farting, as since the pilot episode, he was ripping some merciless blasts. And right in the scene when Bingo asks Bandit how many games does Bandit want to play, he turns so fast he lets out a fart and even his head patch moves. And right in this same episode, when Blue and Bingo are on top of poor Bandit, Bingo starts acting in a very strange way, probably from the fumigation that Bandit gave him. In the telephone episode, when Grandpa Mort goes to visit his family, he starts playing with the girls trying to decipher what the telephone says. This is where we see that Bluey has her own area where she cooks things for them to play to distribute food. On this same table, we can see that there are bowls, a red pencil, and a notebook. But right after that, something very strange happens when we see the same scene from another point of view. Here we can see that all the objects are still there, with the exception of the pencil. The pencil is now on top of the notebook, and just one scene later, all the things that were on the table return to their place. In the duck pie episode, we can see that when Bandit enters the kitchen, a stamp is missing. But then, when he goes with Bluey and cleans the monkey's house, we can see that the stamp is back in its place. In the Seesaw episode, we can see that when Pom Pom is going up the seesaw, Coco's iconic eyelashes disappear, and another occasion when something was cut off from Coco was in the Circus episode. When Johnny escapes from Mackenzie and removes the sheet, Coco is suddenly doing somersaults. And that's when his eyebrows disappear. There were many mistakes in the characters' colors, and this other mistake we found in the Bingo episode when Chili asks Bandit what problem Bingo has to solve. Here, Bandit's patch disappears for a few seconds. In the library episode, when Muffin goes to visit her family, Blue and Bingo were playing library. Here, even, Blue teaches Muffin that they have a heart-shaped stamp, to then stamp the librarian's card when they hand in their books. Here we can notice that this card is on top of a piece of pink paper. And right after that, when Bluey is making Muffin's card, we can see that the position of the pink paper has changed, and now the pink paper with the heart is underneath the other paper. But the mistakes don't end here, because after this, when Bluey pretends to take a picture of Muffin, we can see that there is nothing behind Muffin. But seconds before, Bingo was reading a book, and there was a large pile of books, but in Muffin's photo. These are no longer in the same place, they simply disappeared. In the episode, Hada's also left us with another curious mistake. And we find it when Bandit is dancing around the mailbox and we see how his leg bends in a horrifying way. Bandit, how could you walk after this? And you friends, did you notice more mistakes? Leave them in the comments.